Nexium well Nekseam. The American sect Nexium has been masquerading as a personal growth course for a long time, and its ordinary adherents did not realize how it could end. Self-realization, control over the emotional sphere, personal and professional growth. The creators of all kinds of self-development courses promised gullible adherents just that. The sect leaders stigmatized women, subjected them to various humiliations and forced them to obey, as well as forced them to sit on grueling diets and even to have sexual contact with the leadership of Nexium. Thanks to journalists from the New York Times, the management of the personal growth courses was brought to light. From the very beginning, the sect leadership collected dirt on the adherents. It was mainly photos and videos of an intimate nature, which were published online after one of the sect members wanted to leave the sect. The most zealous followers left their families, gave up their careers and gave all their savings to the sect. This is when the harsh treatment of the adherents began. They were branded and deprived of food and sleep. And women were obliged to send more and more private photos to prove their devotion to the cult leaders. Om Shinrikyo. Om Shinrikyo is a Japanese sect founded by Shoko Asahara, real name, Tizo Matsumoto, in 1987. During the heyday of the sect in the mid-90s, the number of adherents in Japan reached 10,000 people, and in Russia 50,000. The sect leader traveled to Russia several times and met with political and religious figures. The new pseudo-Buddhist movement fascinated Russians, because nothing was known about the crimes committed by the sect members in Russia. Meanwhile, the sect declared war on the Japanese constitution and began terrorist attacks. On June 27, 1994, the sect carried out the world's first use of chemical weapons in a terrorist attack against the population. Sect members used sarin, a nerve agent, in the city of Matsumoto. At that time, more than 200 people were injured. The court found Asahara guilty of 13 of 17 charges and sentenced him to death in 2004. However, Japanese law does not say when the sentence will be carried out. The Circle of Light, a group that broke away from the sect and changed some of its ideology to worship Asahara, continues to exist. However, under the supervision of special services. Ku Klux Klan. Strictly speaking, the Ku Klux Klan, or KKK, cannot be considered a cult in the literal sense of the word because it never had a single leader. This secret society was founded by former Southern soldiers after the Civil War, 1861-1865. The main idea of this far-right organization was the so-called white nationalism, the alleged superiority of the white race over all others. At first, the adherents of the invisible empire of the South, the secret name of the Ku Klux Klan, did not attack people, but limited themselves to intimidation. The society's adherents wrapped themselves in white sheets and rode through the city, which terrified the superstitious black population. Former slaves thought that the souls of Confederates killed in the war had come to take revenge. The KKK created a sophisticated information network through which members of the society could plan arson attacks. The police could not handle the KKK, but in 1871, General Forrest, aka the Grand Magician, officially dissolved the Ku Klux Klan. The reason for this is not known. Either he bowed to pressure from the authorities or realized that the KKK was completely out of control. The Ku Klux Klan was reconstituted twice, in 1915 and in the 1970s. But, fortunately, the organization never reached its former size again. Church of Scientology. Scientology, which emerged not so long ago, has already established itself on every continent. In the 60 years since its creation, it has gained tens of thousands of followers, becoming one of the most commercially successful and recognizable new religious movements. But Scientology has been repeatedly criticized, both by ordinary citizens and government officials. One of the main reasons lies in the financial activities of the organization. The fact is that the church exists thanks to donations, and their amount is determined on a case-by-case basis. Despite this and the recognition of Scientology as a pseudoscience, the religion continues to spread and gain new followers. Among them are celebrities. The most famous Scientologists are Tom Cruise, John Travolta, Kelly Preston and Priscilla Presley. Many stars have left the ranks of Scientologists and have subsequently spoken negatively about this religion. For example, actress Nazanin Boniadi left the church after she was offered to participate in a secret project. In order to do so, she had to dump her boyfriend, dye her hair and make some other changes in her appearance. As it turned out later, the project was to find the right girl for Tom Cruise. Now Nazanin, like many other ex-Scientologists, is an active critic of this religion. Happy Science. Happy Science was founded in 1986 by businessman Ryuho Ikawa, who decided that being the founder of a sect was more profitable than being an ordinary employee of a large Japanese company. At this point, the sect organized its own political party to promote its ideas and increase its numbers. Today, in nearly 3 decades, Happy Science has gained followers in more than 100 countries around the world. The numbers are impressive: 10 million followers at home and 1 million abroad. The centers are Tokyo, New York, London, Sydney, Hong Kong and Sao Paulo. What is it that attracts people to this movement? For example, the founder of Ryuho claims to have received guidance from over 500 individuals of high spiritual nature, who have had a profound influence on the creation of world history. Ryuho also claims that he can enter into communication exchanges with many famous people, including Shakespeare, Socrates, Thomas Edison, Confucius, Walt Disney, Margaret Thatcher, not to mention the President of the United States. Cult watchers treat Ryuho's words as absurdly amusing, not worth the attention, but this by no means stops the grand development, and even brings in large monetary donations from devotees of the creed. The Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. A sect that broke away from the Mormon Church and is unwilling to give up bigamy. Polygamy is not a challenge, but a covenant with God. This is the principle followed by the followers of this sect. In fact, they continue to profess xenophobia and racism to this day. Despite the fact that the leader of their community has been in prison since 2005, this does not prevent him from remotely directing his adherents and communicating through coded letters. The sect's elder, 75-year-old Frederick Jessup, was sentenced by the court to 10 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. The elder is accused of registering 16 marriages of adult men to teenage girls. In particular, Jessup performed an illegal marriage ceremony between the sect's leader, 50-year-old Warren Jeffs, and a 12-year-old girl. In addition, the aged Jessup is himself a super multiple husband, having as many as 22 wives. And his 11 daughters and 2 granddaughters were also married off by him at a minor age. New Wabi Nation. The New Wabi Nation is a unique mix of Christianity, the religion of ancient Egypt and some other faiths. The founder of the cult, which, by the way, appeared in the 70s of the 20th century, Dwight York. The turning point for this sect came when its founder was imprisoned for 135 years for sexually assaulting girls. This case is truly considered to be the loudest and largest in the history of prosecution of a person for such cases in the United States. These people's piggy bank of beliefs is rife with oddities. They believe that all people have a twin, who can either die or survive, but lurk in the sewers and take over the world when the opportunity arises. Also, all humans must keep their race pure, for mestizos carry evil in them. The main followers of this strange cult were in Georgia, but in 2005 their society broke up. Nevertheless, the adherents of this cult are still desperately waiting for the release of their leader. Well, as I promised, the video was interesting. So, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.